Today I'm working on a gas trimmer. The brand name is right there. That's the model number T230X. And I've already taken the cover off. And I'm going to check it right now for spark. So I'm going to try to get this where you can see it. And you can see it's got spark. And I'll check compression. Shut the spark off. And I'll get so you can see it. All right, so and if you can see that, that's almost 100. So it's got good compression. So that's good. Got compression, we got spark. This thing should run. Looking at the fuel lines, this one's flexible, this one's flexible. This one is kind of hard, but it's a return. And the primer ball is working, pumping fuel through it. I did add some fuel to this. So let's see if it'll start. All right, primed it. Got choke on. And I'm not seeing any fuel at all coming in. If we can try giving it a little shot of carb cleaner, I guess. I got a feeling the carburetor, the check valve mechanism is not working, the needle and seat. Choke back on. No fire. Let's see if we got anything on the spark plug. Yeah, it's wet. You can see it's shiny. It's got a little bit of moisture on it, so. All right, let's try something else. I don't see any igniting going on there. And we're going to take it, we'll shut the choke off. All right, that should have fired. Let's see if I've got another spark plug. Yeah, that's wet. All right, let me put you on pause. I gotta see if I can find a spark plug. Okay, I'm back. I did find another plug. It's not the exact right plug, but it should make this thing fire. And that's what I'm aiming for. Okay, let's just take that one out and see if it's got spark. It's wet. All right, we've got spark. We got compression. I put fuel in it. It should run. So I got to figure out what's going on. We either got a leak, a seal leak in the on the end, or we got a timing issue. So right now I don't think it's carburetor. Let's try this plug over here one more time. I'll have to go to the store and find out what plug this actually takes. Yeah, this plug is firing, but it's more of an orange fire. Try this one. You may have a weak coil. That's better. Let me find a spark plug I can increase the gap with. Let's see what this one does. Yeah, it's firing every time. I think the one plug is no good. I'll have to get a new plug for that. I don't even know. I never heard this brand. It's a rotary brand, a 15500, and I don't know if that's the right one or not, but we'll find out. I'll get a plug for it. I got compression, and I'm going to check the clearance. Take a look at that real quick. The clearance on the flywheel. It doesn't look too bad. Let's see how close we are to top dead center on that. It's pretty close. All right, so it doesn't look like a timing issue. It doesn't look like it's a spark issue, actually. maybe a spark plug issue. You've seen the flame when it did spark. So right now it doesn't seem to be a fuel problem, because if I put fuel here, it should at least fire. So I need to get a spark plug first to try that and see if it'll fire. And pouring gas in there, if I can do that and it fires and runs for a short time, then we know we got that working, and then we'll see if we can get the fuel part working. So I'll have to go buy a spark plug. All right, I've got a new plug, and we're going to check and see how good the spark is. I'm getting a spark, but it's an orange spark. So you always go with the cheapest thing to replace first before you go into the next thing that's more expensive. Spark plugs are a lot cheaper than a coil. So let's check the coil out. All right, I'm going to check the resistance between the spark plug end and the grounding wire. $4,380, and I believe we're supposed to be over 5,000. So I do have another coil. I'll get that out. We'll check it. Here's a new coil. Going to do the same thing. Going to check it from the spark plug end to the grounding wire, which is right there. You can see that. It's always backwards to me. And if you can see the meter, you can see that I'm almost 6,000. So this is this is more where it's supposed to be. So we're going to install that. And it looks like we've got, it's either Allen or torque. Let me look. Allen wrench. So let me see if I can find an Allen wrench to fit that. It's probably metric. Maybe. Yep. What will happen if you have a weak spark under compression? It'll actually blow out. It won't have enough energy to jump the gap in a pressure situation, and it won't fire the gas. It'll flood. So it's got two screws holding the coil on. I don't know if you can see that. Get back over here. It's about an inch long. Get this out of there. The second one, there's two of them. And of course, we've got this going on. Got a grommet here that maybe I can get it out of there without breaking it. I was looking and seeing if there's any way to get around taking this grommet off, but there's not. And I would have to split the bottom part from the top part if I can't push it through. And I got it through. Okay. That's nice. They're gonna make me take this whole thing off just to get this wire out of there. Nope. Wow. Let's see, how am I going to get that over there if I take that off? They're put together the same way. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to undo all of these screws to release the base so I can lift it up to get this wire out. So that's where I'm going next. And that was like Allen wrench also. Why make it easy? See one right here. They got everything attached to it. Guess I better start putting stuff in a magnet or I'll be looking for them. On the other side. That Allen socket head is just full of all kinds of debris. So I finally got it out of there, and it is turning, and I'll be able to get this apart. Maybe. Oh shoot. We got the throttle cable right here in the way. It's holding it together. And that's 10 millimeter. We're going to back it up. Okay, now let's see what happens. There we go. Had to do that just to get this off. And I'm going to have to go in the reverse direction. I'm going to split this so that it'll all right, now we're ready to go the opposite direction. Put it back together. And I think what I'll do is I'll bolt this on first. So, let me get my pointer. And right here. This area right here, in here, this is where the flywheel passes by. And we've got to have like 0.003 gap between this and the flywheel. So I'm going to use a little piece of a card to go in there. I'll bring the flywheel around right there. So I've got the magnets faced up right now, up facing towards me where this thing's going to go on there. So I'm going to get the screws in this first. We'll get it mounted in place, and then we're going to check the gap. I don't know if you heard that, but it went right up against it. I'm going to put that cardboard in first. Actually, I think it's stronger. That's wrong. Use the right screw. I just hadn't looked at that, and I'm like, that's the wrong screw. Or maybe not. I think I dropped the spacer. There's a spacer that goes between the coil. I looked I didn't see it. I found it. I see where it's at. It fell off when I took the coil off. I'll show you the spacer. One stayed on and one came off. And that goes in between the coil and the head, or the cylinder. So now I got them both in place. All right. And the magnet is pulling the coil up against it. So that little spacer I got in there right now is what's holding it away from it. And when I get done, after I tighten these down, I can pull that piece of cardboard out, and I got clearance. Let's check that, make sure. I gotta go around the other side. Oh yeah, looks really good. Not hitting the flywheel, and it's got about 3 thousandths clearance on it. It ought to work. Now this came with a wire that goes onto the grounding on the coil, and then all of this is going to go through here. This little grommet. And we're going to lift it back up and put it back in place. Making sure I got clearance, which I do. Let's put a couple screws in. Need to put some light over here. I don't know if that's going to help on the camera or not. A little bit better. Aim it down a little bit. Yeah, that might be better. I can't open the door. I usually have the door open, but the pollen's so bad right now. It's in your eyes, it's in your throat, it's all over your skin when you get done for the day. Every year we have about a week of it. It's pine pollen, it's green, and it's thick. It's not the kind of pollen that gives you allergies, but because it's so big, but it definitely messes you up. And it's on everything out there. Everything is green. It's like having a light snowfall, only green snowfall. We had a rain last night, It washed a bunch of it away, but today everything's covered again. I'm going to reattach the throttle. And the throttle is a lot like you'd find on a motorcycle or any other kind of vehicle. It's got the adjustment on it, with a cable running through the center of it. But it's also got a ground wire that's attached, which you got to make sure you get that hooked up. And you adjust your cable so that make sure that it's going all the way back. Your throttle goes all the way forward and it should come all the way back. It's kind of lazy. Let's see what we can do about that. Well, it's coming back. Maybe I have to oil up the cable. So now I'm going to tighten this. And that's locked in place now. They put a little bit of WD-40 on it, on the shaft and the. See if that's better. Yeah. Might need some down here too. All right. So I'm going to leave this wire right here, this red wire, and that new red wire right here. They go together. This is what is for the kill switch. We're not going to hook that up right now. Get my spark plug. Got to block the light. Better spark. Now it's blue. And even at slow speed, I'm getting a good blue spark. That's a good indicator. Well, let's see what happens. Now, in my mind, it should start. Because we have improved the spark. It's got this insulation on here. I'm going to have to look at that, see where that other one was. Well, oh, it was down inside. I'm going to have to take that back apart. We're going to do that later. All right, let's just see if this thing will start. So I've got fuel up here. I've got choke. Choke is on. That's a good sign. Choke it again. Well, it fired. I don't know if I flooded it. That's the best. Maybe from all the stuff we did earlier. No, it don't look like I flooded it. We may have a carburetor problem too, so we kind of expected that, but I couldn't even get it to run until I put fuel in it. So let's give it a shot. Well, okay, that's really good. Oh boy, what did you do? One bark coil. What I don't know is whether or not I'm having a problem here. Not yet. It's wet. Maybe we can make some flames here. Oh, good spark. And yeah, you couldn't ask for a better spark. It's a nice blue. Even at slow speed, I'm getting a good blue spark. It doesn't look like I'm getting any fuel in there. Yeah, if there was fuel in there, it would shoot a flame. I think we got a carburetor problem too. But I'm good. I'm glad to hear that we at least fired. I couldn't even get it to do that before. The spark was just too weak. I had enough fuel in it. Okay. Oh yeah, good and wet. Should you see a flame? Was blowing fuel out. There we go. I was waiting for that one. Got a lot of gas in it. So it's a good possibility we're dumping raw fuel in now. Let me see if I can get it burned out of there. Yeah. All right. I'm going to try starting one more time, and I got a feeling I'm going to have to take the spark plug apart. You can see it definitely is firing. I'm going to have to take the fuel or carburetor apart. All right. I think that's where we're at. Not running out. Let me look inside. Oh, it's wet. Let me take that screw off there. I want to see if it may have a hole in the diaphragm. The carburetor is just running raw fuel right into the engine now. All right, looking down inside, I'm seeing a lot of liquid. So this little tiny hole is like 3/8 inch hole. That's the port going into the cylinder in the bottom cylinder and the bottom piston. Goes into the crankcase and then it's pushed up. It's two cycles. It's pushed up to the top. When the piston goes down, it forces the fuel to go up. I'm going to look inside it. Yeah, it's quite wet. We're going to take this carburetor apart. All right, that's the next thing to do. Carburetor part. So I got compression. I got good spark now. It did try to run. It fired, but I think it's also between me pouring fuel into it and not starting before. I think we've got the crankcase full of fuel now. And you've seen the flames that I had. That's the fuel coming out of the bottom of the crankcase and going up to the top. And that's what it should do. That it should be firing, but it shouldn't be that. You've seen the flames shooting up this high. It shouldn't go that high. That's a lot of fuel. So I'm going to take it apart. I'm going to take this carburetor apart. I got to get it off there first. Get these little springs off there. They don't have little tabs on them. I got to replace this hose anyways. This hose is really hard. It's the return hose. But we're going to take that all apart. We're going to clean this all up. And I don't know how those work. These are like springs. I don't know if you can see that right here. Normally you'll have two little tabs that you put pliers on and spring apart. These don't have that. They just push up on there. That's quite a bit different than anything I've ever seen. I guess it'll work because it's a spring. I will get that one off. Let's just see if, yeah, see, the pump is working. It's pumping it up and around. But what I don't know is whether or not it's getting up into here correctly. I got a feeling it's coming through the vacuum side of this and going directly into the crankcase and not through the carburetor. Let's get this apart. I gotta get this other spring off. So the good hose is the feed hose that's coming out of the carburetor, and the bad hose is the return hose. And there you have it. So the bottom one down here is the feed, and this is the return up here. All right, I'm going to shut the camera off for a little bit. I'm going to take the carburetor apart because it's so tiny, my hands would be in the way. Well, you wouldn't be able to see anything anyways. Okay, so this is the carburetor all taken apart. The plunger, the body here, this is where it's got the little diaphragm on here that needs to be flexible. That pumps and that pulls it in. Then you have the diaphragm itself right here. And this is where you want to look for tears. You can hold it up against the light and look through there and make sure there's no holes in this diaphragm. And then you have the needle and seat. Let me get down here. Needle and seat right here. And you want to make sure that it's open. There's a hole down here. You can take it apart or you can blow through that hole right there. Try to get it clean. Then you have this piece. It's got two little flapper valves on here. And so this goes down on here. Get back over here. These two little flaps right here. Oh, I got it wrong. Cut it upside down backwards. Anyways, they go over these two holes right here. And those have to be in place to help control the flow of the fuel going up through the carburetor. But the biggest problem with these, and I've taken the throttle out of here. This has got a drum-like throttle. But this little tiny hole right there that goes up through the center of the carburetor. Try to get it lined up so you can see through it. Anyways, in there, there's a, maybe better this way. Right here. That hole can get plugged up. And it is really tiny. I'm going to try to look at it through the light in here. And it's clear. It's opened up. But it's a really tiny hole. And I can't even tell you how small it is. It's small. But that's got to be clear. And all that is. Now there is some debris in here. And I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to try to show you. Right in here. All this in here. There's little bits of something. So that could plug that hole up. That's how small that hole is. This little bit of debris can plug that hole. So I'm going to clean this all back up. The diaphragms actually look pretty good. And I'll make sure all this is working. I'll check this. Before you ever take one of these carburetors apart, you want to make sure you clean the outside really good. Because the dirt that's on the outside can cause more problems on the inside. So don't get it all clean on the outside before you start. So that's the carburetor all apart. You can see there's lots of little tiny pieces. These carburetors, it's actually more efficient just to replace the carburetor than it is to try to clean it and rebuild it. Because you can buy carburetors so cheap right now. The labor time invested in this is really high unless you're doing it yourself. So there it is apart, and I'll be back. All right, I have put the carburetor back together. I put it back on. I did replace this line right here. This is the return line. It was hard. Here's the line. You can see it's quite hard. So that's been replaced. I put the spark plug back into it. I primed it up. I've got the wires all in place, ready to go. And this should start. Okay, so what was the problem? Well, I took the carburetor apart to check it to make sure that the hole that runs the fuel pump. So right in here, let me see if I can get my arm out of the way. Right in here, the bottom diaphragm is the fuel pump. And it gets a little pulse from the crankcase, which is in here. And as the piston goes up and down, let me see if I got something I can use as a piston. Okay, this. So a 2-cycle engine is, every time it comes up, it fires. So as the piston's coming up and gets ready to fire, on the bottom side, it's also pulling suction, which is running the fuel pump, and it's pulling through the carburetor, pulling fuel into it. So the pulse for the fuel pump is going back and forth as the piston goes up and down. And that pulse is which pulls fuel out of the tank, out of here, up through this line. And that replenishes the carburetor. But as the piston goes down, as it goes down, the fuel that is in the crankcase now is being pushed up through a port to the top of the piston. And it goes up, compresses it, and fires. And then on the way down, it goes by the exhaust port, and it allows the exhaust to go out. Just before it comes down a little bit farther, it picks up fuel from the bottom again, which is now trying to get to the top. It pushes the fuel onto the top of the piston, and then it comes back up for another stroke of power. It's called 2-cycle. 4-stroke, you go through you got valves that are operating. So the piston, let's say we start at the top, it goes down, the intake valve opens, the fuel comes in, the piston comes up, both valves are closed at the time, and it fires, the piston goes down, and as it's going down, the exhaust, that's called the power stroke. As it gets to the bottom, the exhaust valve opens and it comes back up, and it dumps all of that exhaust out through the exhaust valve, and then it goes back down. As just after the exhaust valve is closing, the intake valve opens again and pulls fuel back in. It goes all the way down to the bottom, comes back up for another power stroke. 4 strokes, 4 cycles. 2 cycles here, 4 cycles on the other one. And there's a lot more pieces working on a 4-cycle engine, 4-stroke engine, whatever you want to call it. You got valves and a valve train operating. This is all ported. Some of them have reed valves that work. Some of the 2 cycles do. But this is all piston ported, it's called. So if you look where the exhaust comes out of this cylinders, like over here, so as the piston goes down, that opens up, and exhaust is going out, and then it's coming up, it's picking up fuel, and the intake valve pumps fuel back into it, and it's a cycle. Anyways, what was happening, why I took the carburetor apart was I thought the diaphragm might have a hole in it, the little fuel pump diaphragm. If it does, it'll pump raw fuel back into the crankcase before it goes through the carburetor. That's happened before. But what I think happened here was we got a weak spark, and trying to start it, when you think you have spark and then you try to start it, you think it should fire. Well, it won't, because the spark is too weak and it gets flooded out with all the fuel that's in there. And then we've loaded up the crankcase, which you seen when I pulled it over and had the spark plug on top. it was shooting flames up. That was all the fuel that was coming out of the bottom of here, being pushed up on the top and then igniting it with a spark plug. Once I got that all cleaned out of there, and with a new plug and a new coil, now it's good to have a nice blue spark. We're not flooded anymore, and so it starts every time. And so the next thing I'll do I got to clean up all this stuff. You can see the inside, that's all dirty. And I'll clean up the back of this, and also the cover for the air filter. That all needs to be cleaned. And then I'll clean the outside of this thing a little bit too. Put it back together and move on to the next project. So this had a little bit of excitement with the flames and all that kind of stuff I like. But it doesn't bother me when stuff like it happens, because I've seen it many times before. But if you like what you're seeing here, give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe and let other people know. I don't know what the next project is going to be. I got a couple things in mind that I got to work on. I've also got a backpack blower over here that doesn't run either, and that'll be in line here somewhere along the line in my next projects. So thank you again.